What is up, guys, and welcome to this special Christmas episode of the Nexus podcast. We have Emmy here, fresh back from his Pro Tour adventure and his top 8 placing. How are you doing, Emmy? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm a bit jet lagged. Came back yesterday.
Looks like you bought a e-girl e-girl bedroom with your winnings.
Yeah. That's yes, I splashed it out already on the way back.
Very nice. Loving those neons. But you have a good time, man.
Yeah, it was really great. I'm really looking forward to dive into it. I'm curious, how's the rest of the crew left behind, sadly, for this Pro Tour?
Yeah. I've been good. I recently went to Barcelona and played the finals of Dragon Ball. It was fun. I didn't do too well. I met my expectation, actually, considering I didn't even practice, and I was playing like a bit of an out of date deck. But yeah, I had a good time. Barcelona is a hell of a place to visit. So yeah, looking forward to going back at some point, definitely. What about you, Kieran? How you doing? Started your new job, didn't you, or something recently?
Yeah, we started a new job this week, so more money for cardboard as we, get my priorities straight in life.
Oh, yeah.
We've been doing some locals the last few weeks as well, as per usual. We've
Nice.
actually had more turnout than before. We went from being like 3 to 4 people to now like 6 to 7 people. Like
Nice.
the natural growth, and some people are just showing up, and I think they've just heard about the locals from the podcast, so it's clearly doing well.
Awesome.
We're still undefeated, by the way, 2 weeks in a row. So if anyone wants to come down and try their best at the Play Nation Croydon Locals, it's an open invite at this point.
Ooh, don't let him get away with this, guys. Like, you get down there and take that throne. Like, all right. And so Harry, how you been doing? How's your week been?
I've been good. Yeah. No, it's been a busy time. Hopefully, my mic is okay now. But yeah,
you're sounding delightful. Yeah. In fact, people would have never had the problem because of editing magic. So.
Excellent. So yeah, just chilling in my Camino, obviously.
I'm not editing that out.
I'm not going to even send it to you, to be honest. So. But yeah, no, good to see everyone, and Merry Christmas to everyone watching. All right, so Emmy, the man of the weekend, he has just returned from the Pro Tour 3. And yeah, he's going to discuss do like a little tour report, Pro Tour report, and then we're going to go into his deck list, and then I guess we can just like analyze his performance and talk about the deck, see if there's anything you change and all that kind of jazz. So without further ado, we'll get into that now. Take the floor, Emmy.
Yeah, of course. So just came back yesterday, as I mentioned. Had a blast. This weekend was like so much fun. I flew in on Thursday. I actually had dinner with Wei from Australia. And I actually bumped into Aspira and D from Play TCG, who previewed the big cards that you guys have seen on stream, and a few people have won. So already started very well. And on Friday, I met with Ayumu and Carlo, with which I shared the room, and the playlists were due to be submitted on the Friday evening. So we just got on with some testing and some last minute changes. As you do, you start panic and you start double guessing yourself and all that fun things. But the list was pretty much solid. A big shout out to everyone who helped. In particular, I think the main brain was Enoch, who really helped me with like the whole concept of the deck. And then, both Kieran and Harry jumped in, and we had some really good discussions. Also with Frankie, I do like to brainstorm with some trusted advisors, and so that was very helpful. And yeah, we essentially dived into day one pretty early-ish, I would say. It was like 10 a.m. And 118 players. So pretty full pack room. The venue was really nice. It was in a hotel in Portland. And so 118 players means 7 rounds of Swiss, but also it means that you need to go X1 because it's on the cusp of top 16, but not quite yet. So we knew that we had to do well if we wanted to make it to day two. And I think I don't know if we want. Do we want to go round by round or just wrap up the weekend from this point?
Yeah, just go round by round. Like talk about your matchups, and then we'll get into the deck list after that, and you can talk about any other highlights and stuff like that. You can be quick about it.
Like, we only saw one round of yours. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so well, round one. Sit down in front of me. There is, I believe, Brennan. I was hoping to recheck all my opponents' name just to be sure, but best cost bearing won't let me do that. So hopefully I get all the names right. Also, I'll do a lot of shout outs as we go through. But Brandon was super cool. I think he's part of the crew of the BSS podcast. Shout out to BSS podcast, our fellow podcasters. So I was running a Red Gale Nova that we'll look into in a minute, but round one was against Fable Beast, which for me was like target number one. Going into this weekend, we were predicting a lot of yellow and some red, some white, some Gale, and a bit of aggro. And that call was pretty spot on. So round one, I won against Brennan. A fun thing to mention there is that having both red and green during first game, I was actually playing only green cards. Somehow that's what I had. So he played a strong draw and he discarded Enterprise. And the next turn, I ascended a Nova on top of a Jaeger, and he was pretty not happy about that. So that was round one. Round two, I actually lost. It was the one loss in my Swiss. I think his name was Alexis, and he was playing Nova. So it wasn't a mirror match, but yeah, it was a red Nova. Won the first game, lost the second game, and third game was like a really, really intense. Came to the wire, and he got the best of it. So shout out to him. Round three was the quickest round of my day. Finished in like 18 minutes, I think, because it was a wide aggro. And game one, he just opened Pegasian. I opened Bearded Eagle, and then he went body, 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 swing, 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 regain. And I was like, okay, nice. So I sided in 2 Cursed Dragons, and I had the Flood Stream inside. Also had Burning Force and Ritual Fire, and I was just praying. And I actually hit a Cursed Dragon on game 2 and game 3. But at the same time, I didn't hit a single Burning Force or a Flood Stream or a Ritual Fire in 3 games. So I was like sweating because I had a Cursed Dragon and only a Cursed Dragon on the board both games. But we got there. Round 4 was against Yellow Fable Beast. Was Ainde Ross that we've seen in previous tournaments. And again, my deck was really built to leverage that red side of spells to kind of deal with yellow. So I won 2-0 on round 4. Then round 5 was against Snakes on Plains. I think the Atlanta Grand Open made that list pretty popular. Obviously won the Grand Open, so we were expecting some. But to be completely honest, I didn't test against it. I test a bit against purple. Generally, I know how to play around purple, but you know, he was playing the new X-Rare Viper, and he was playing the Bottis, so I had to pick up cards and read quite a few times. Also, on game 2, he opened Rotting Swamp and then Rotting Swamp, Rotting Swamp. So he had 3 Rotting Swamp down, which made it quite scary. But we got there. I actually got 2 games. So I was sitting 4-1, very happy because my other 2 teammates there were at 4-1. So both Kalo and Ayumu were 4-1. We were all doing very well. We go into round 6, and I got paired against Ayumu, obviously. I got paired against Ayumu, and it's bad for many reasons. One of this is, you need to either be beaten by a teammate or have a team kill on Swiss. And also because I know exactly what he's playing and I know exactly how to play around it. One fun thing I will mention, and I'm sure he is not going to be mad about me mentioning it because we both misplayed. But so I took game 1, and game 2 I played Nova, and he played a Blazing Boar and then ascended a Turborex on the Blazing Boar. But the only spirit that you cannot bounce with a Turborex is Nova. So he swung with Turborex, forgot about that. And to be honest, in the moment, I was so ready to pick up Nova, but he swing and then he goes, oh no. So I was like, oh shit. But the turn after, as a genius I drew into a Meteor Sigworm that I sided in. And I thought, oh, I'll just swing with Meteor Sigworm. No, sorry, swing with Nova, clear the Turborex, and then swing with Meteor Sigworm and draw a card. Yes, but Turborex decides to swings first. So we were both like face palming. We were both like, yeah, it was a bit annoying, but I got that win for the 5-1. And then I finished off my day 1 against Yellow Fable Beast, which was Gavin, which has just like messaged me right now on Discord to ask if I'm back to the U. So I'm gonna reply to you also on here saying yes, I made it back. And he was like the coolest, honestly. He was commenting on the podcast, which also a lot of you did. And shout out to everyone who came and said hi. It was like, it really made my day much better. Like honestly, such a cool thing. But we were on stream, and at this point, in my body was like 3 a.m. Jet lag wise, and I was just moving forward for pure adrenaline, knowing that if I win, I would have made top 8. If not, that was the end of it. So yeah, we just sit down and chatted with Gavin, super cool guy. And I don't know if people have seen the game, but he took game 1, and I got game 2.
How did that feel right then? By the way, you're in your winning and you lose game 1. Like, what's the emotions at that point?
I think actually the main change this tournament that I applied from like Utrecht, so just in context, like the last Grand Open, it went extremely bad. And one thing I singled out from that event was that I was looking just at a bigger picture. Like in my mind was like, if I do bad at this Grand Open, I don't get the Pro Tour, I cannot go to Worlds with people, and my season is over. And I was thinking that the whole day, even after round 1, I won the round, but I was so like negative. And so this time around, I took one game at a time, like literally not even one round, like one game at a time. So I lost game 1, and I just tried to stay collected. I sided what I wanted to side, and I just went and like tried to execute a bit differently. And I tried to lean on the red. So I was like filtering with Canyon, trying to find the red pieces. And I got the second game. And then third game, I was just in like super focus mode. I made some questionable plays, but I think, looking back, thinking what I was thinking was really just, I cannot be blessed this moment. I cannot get a bless. Like, I will sack all my creatures. I will do anything that I can to just avoid taking a eagle. And that's what I did. And ultimately it worked out. So yeah, shout out to Gavin. Won round 7. and that ended my run at X1. So 6 wins, 1 loss, and I made it to top 8 as a 8th. But it was a very unforgiving top 8, as I mentioned. Only X1s made it to day 2, and that meant that I would go against the first one, which was Bryce, piloting a 58 card deck. And maybe I can quickly talk about day 2, because unfortunately it was pretty quick. As we finished day 1 and actually went for dinner with Bryce and some of the other guys. And Bryce is such a cool dude. Like, we were just talking about each other's deck, like prior a very important game. We were just talking about each other's deck, how we built it. I asked him, like, why 58 cards, right? And he had the best explanation. It was 54, and then I put 4-star blast, and it became 58. So huge respect. He was such a great opponent, even after, what happened. So to give you a bit of context, I did get a game 1 loss in top 8. So I got a game 1 loss because 3 of my sleeves were damaged. And unfortunately, there was a bit of a miscommunication, I think. So what happened was, round 7, as I mentioned, I was on stream. So we got deck checked, obviously, before playing. Everything was fine. So we played, and then the day was over. And they said, hey, bring your decks tomorrow morning. We have plenty of sleeves. If we need to re-sleeve, we have sleeve for everyone. I was like, cool, see you tomorrow. So I went back to the room, got ready, went for dinner with everyone, and then went to sleep, woke up in the morning, took my deck down, helped the judge actually organizing all the cards to make it easier to deck check. And I wasn't given the sleeves that they promised. And then next thing you know, they call me and they sit me down with the head judge and the TO, and they just inform me that they made a final decision of giving me a game loss because there were 3 sleeves. There were 3 Hurricane Islands. So because of that, the head judge decided to give me a game loss. In the moment, like, I kind of, they didn't even show me the cards. So I asked them to show me the cards, and the mark was in the front of the card on the side, which is the side where you shuffle. So I kind of, I just said, I accept it. It's important to be strict. But I did point out, you deck checked me yesterday. I haven't played any game. You said there were sleeves. I didn't re-sleeve, because why would I re-sleeve to then re-sleeve again? So personally, I think it was a bit harsh, especially after, like, making it a long trip and just like everyone else, working really hard. It was really harsh in the moment, but I kind of, like, took it on the chin, and I guess, like, I should have been more prepared and just re-sleeve and then re-sleeved again if it was needed. I think our experience, again, like, for context, I'm quite new to TCGs. This is my second top only, and my first top, what happened was a TO in Europe. They checked my deck. Some sleeve were used from the day. They gave me a warning, and they said just re-sleeve before tomorrow. So yeah, again, I think it was a bit, like, maybe inexperience, and I think ultimately I got caught in some friendly fire because they need to be strict. There's a lot on the line. Someone got actually caught with, like, some cards marked. So again, I understand. In the moment, it was really tough to accept, because obviously we make content. I put my face on it, and I'm really proud the way I play. Even though I'm not the best player, I conduct myself in a certain way, and like, I love the human part of this game as well, meeting so many cool people. So yeah, so I started with a game loss, which means that you just start 1-0 for your opponent, and I won game 2, and then we sided in. We had 16 minutes, so I decided to not put all my side, because he's playing a 58 cards deck, which works with 58 cards. My side is not that consistent. So long story short, just to wrap it up, game 3, we was going into turns. I was 5 life, he was at 3 life, and I had an Andromeda standing. He had Eagle and Giganorex. Yes, Giganorex. If you have not seen Bryce's list, go check it out. I had a ice shield set and 1 in hand. And I was like, cool, he's going to swing with Gigana. I'm going to block with Andromeda, play ice shield, win the game, go top 4. He draws a card, and that card, I believe that card was, but nevertheless, he had like 3-4 cards in hand, and it was a Gambo. And unfortunately, we went 4 and 4 live, and then we went to card count, and he had 3 more cards than me. So that's how I lost my top 4 spot. And I'm not saying that if I didn't have that game 1 loss, I would have won for sure. Obviously, Bryce was like undefeated. He's like super a great player. I just wish I had a bit more of a fair chance there. And I actually wanted to ask you guys, like, what's your experience? Like, you're a bit more, much more experienced than me in TCGs, like in terms of like this kind of like game losses, because I spoke to other guys at the event, and like Rex got a game loss in past events. John Tata got a game loss in past events, and we know for sure those are honest players. So perhaps that was a consistency call that was, you know, from the judges. But yeah, curious on your experience as well.
Yeah, like I had something similar to you in Glasgow actually, where yeah, again at the end of day 1 they did a deck check. They were like, yeah, all good. So I thought I won't re-sleeve, and then the next day there was an issue with 1 card in my side deck. The Forest of Steel Leaves in my side deck. They're like, oh, this sleeve is a bit. So obviously I would, you know, I had the spare sleeves. I was like, should I just replace the sleeve or whole thing? They're like, oh, you should probably re-sleeve the whole thing. And then there was a bunch of faff where bought a pack of sleeves, and then there was something wrong with that pack of sleeves.
I saw that, yeah. You cracked it open in front of the judge, and it was just like not a good pack.
But that is sort of the precaution that you have to take, I think. Obviously, I've my flatmate is a lot more experienced with TCGs generally than I am. Like I played until about 10 years ago and then retired and out of retirement. And I think the standards have changed quite a lot. Like it is more stringent in that respect. But again, like I didn't get a game loss for that Forest of Steel Leaves issue, and I think it is tricky, but it just feels very harsh, especially when you pass the deck check game 1. Like I guess going forward, it's just a precautionary thing to where you just always re-sleeve. Like you just do it as practice, and if you can, like hopefully there's a place where you can buy sleeves there, so you can show yourself buying sleeves to the judge. Or
yeah,
like,
there weren't a place to buy them. That's why I think they had them. So yeah, but they weren't given out as I give the deck. That yeah, I was just confused there.
Yeah, it does happen. I mean, like from from other events that I've played in, like the Busherwood events, like their World Finals, for example. Everyone's given a pack of sleeves, and Yu-Gi-Oh does this as well with regionals. Like they give you a pack of sleeves, and you have to sleeve your deck into those sleeves they've given you. So and as Harry said, it does suck when like a game loss or something like that happens, because it's like what you said, Emmy. Like you feel like you wasn't really given a fair shot at an actual match because you wasn't.
Yeah.
you got to play, and in fact, I think it's worse in your case, right? Because you didn't lose the second game, you won the second game. So you was on that 1-1 comeback. But I always say, like, sometimes you just learn from like big mistakes. Like it sticks with you more in the future. And you said you're more newer to TCG, so it's like now you're probably gonna like bring extra sleeves, and if you get to day 2, you're gonna be sleeving and sleeve. Yeah, like
I'll check every round. Yeah, no, absolutely. Let this be a lesson for everyone. Also, I want to mention that what I said is not anecdotal. Like I confirmed with other players, like what we were said end of day 1 was bring your deck. We have sleeve. You can re-sleeve. And I brought my deck, and then they checked it how it was. They didn't ask me if I wanted to re-sleeve. So it did feel a bit harsh for that reason, and also because I was deck checked the day before. I didn't play any other game. But again, just want to stress the fact that, you know, it was 3 key cards. So I understand why they had to make that call.
Yeah, especially because it was, as you said, like 3 of the same key card as well, not just 3 different key cards,
Yeah,
3
yeah.
of the same. Like they, and I mean, you know, we've had past experiences. I mean, anyone at the P2 first Pro Tour
Yeah.
would know the Admasu situation that happened, and you know, the whole stream was delayed, the whole event was delayed, and they actually DQ'd him from the event, and they brought up his the person he beat in top 4, which was Rex, into the finals instead, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after that incident, they're being a lot more strict, and it seems to be the states with all of this. Like we've heard of, you know, I think in one of the I forgot which event it was. I think when you mentioned that John Tada had his game loss, that event was I believe a lot of them went to top cut, and a lot of them had like really one of faulty sleeves, and just a lot of game losses were given out at that same
It's
event.
normal because it's been shuffling for 7 hours, and my opponent shuffled it.
But I believe in that. In John's case, he played against Colin Kaiser, and they were both given game losses. So their top 8 match was just a 1-match game 3.
Yeah.
It really seems to be the
understood that.
states. Yeah.
Well, I hope that experience didn't like tarnish the weekend. Obviously, you had a fantastic result. You did really well, and we're really proud of you, Emmy, for going over there and doing that. And yeah, you know, that's your journey to Worlds continues. So really good job. My thoughts on it are, I guess they were following the tournament rule manual, and obviously, like you said, the circumstances with certain cards being marked, they had to take a level of suspicion there. But you know, obviously you've been very open with it now. You weren't cheating, you weren't trying to cheat. It's just a bit of bad luck. And I personally, I think it is good practice if you do play on a second day, like I've done quite a few times with Dragon Ball. It's always best just to try and either get your deck checked before the games start, like, you know, just ask if this is okay, or just change the sleeves before you start playing. But
yeah. One thing I would say though, immediately what I asked is like, do you think I'm cheating? And they were like, no, if we thought you were cheating, we would have DQ'd you immediately. So yeah, it's a combination.
I was gonna say that, yeah. It's like if it is the suspicion of stacking that way, then yeah, why wouldn't you just DQ? I guess it is like a strange one for them. Obviously, we would try to empathize with them, but I guess similarly, like
they had all the chance in the world to pass this judgment when they checked the deck the day before. That's my opinion. And the fact that they've come the next day and been like, well, now it's not okay. It's a bit.
They said they made a more thorough search. My point is, like, if I would have just followed the best practice as a player on day 2 and just re-sleeved, I would have avoided that. And quite honestly, I think that if they didn't have said we have sleeve, you can re-sleeve, we can give you sleeve, I would have probably re-sleeved. So I'm not, you know, putting blames, but I'm just like kind of defending my case a little bit here, because again, like, I want this to be a lesson for everyone, right? And again, this might be obvious for everyone, and I'm an idiot, okay? But like, just bring extra sleeve. I did have extra sleeves, by the way. I just didn't, for those reasons, didn't do it. But just, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna keep like also every turn check that everything is fine. So I'm ready for Worlds to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
You'll be bringing 2 packs of sleeves, even though you don't need that many. But
Exactly.
let's get into your deck list now. And again, congratulations, Emmy. It's it's great to have someone representing Europe in the top 8, regardless of the circumstances at the end. But yeah, and let's have a little look at your list. All right, Emmy. So let's have a chat about your deck list for the tournament, and yeah, just take us through the Hot Wings deck. Tell us all about it. Yeah,
so we call it Hot Wings. We felt very funny. feels very smug that we ended up on that name. But jokes aside, again, like I think the prediction was that Red converted really badly in Atlanta, although the TD guys kind of piloted it really well, made top 16, top 8. But we really thought that the most prevalent color would have been probably yellow, and we were expecting a little bit of red still, some purple, I guess like less purple, but a bit of white as well, because obviously white got second place, and then aggro. There's another thing that we took in consideration. So I wanted to play something that felt mid-range, that also was able to deal with yellow and give me like 1/2 win conditions, being able to hold on the early game with some powerful small spirits, and then filter the deck hopefully with Canyon, find the pieces that I want, either green or red, and then kind of clear the board with some spells and Apollodinus, and close the game either with Nova or Fang. So that was kind of like the strategy and the thought behind it, mainly because I'm not an aggro player. I didn't want to play a deck that forced me to attack. Also, knowing that there's a lot of yellow, I don't want to attack, essentially. So yeah, we landed on this, and it went through a lot of revisions. And initially, I was playing Beldegors. I wasn't playing Nova. I wasn't playing Jaeger. But let me just go quickly. So Bearded Eagle and Dynaman are the early drops, just very faithful companions, just amazing cards. Ended up on 3 Eagles and 4 Dynamans, because Dino is the best turn 1 drop in the game, in my opinion. Maybe together with Hippocampo in some situations. An Eagle, because we need to play vanillas, and it's a great static card, even for its own rights.
Eagle's a staple red card at this point.
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
much any deck.
Yeah. So that's my early game package that also came very handy against aggro decks. The other card that I love, and alongside with Kieran, is Apollodinus. So Apollodinus was very key because we play the Canyon as well, so we can hit the 5k, 6k, 7, 8 marks pretty consistently. It helped me a lot, just clearing the boards. In quite a few games, my opponents would leave spirits with the same BPs on, not expecting it or not calculating it, and it would get a lot of value out of it. And stop me, guys, if you have any questions.
I was going to say, with Apollodinus, what combinations did you use to kind of utilize his ability? Because obviously there's a lot of different levels of BP that you have to come up against.
Yeah, sure. So one was the Volcanic Canyon that I mentioned. The other is, you can see 2 charge draws, which were at 3 actually, but I'm glad I put it down to 2. But it did came out, I think once, where charge draw was the what I needed to swing on 10k. I think I removed a Gembu with that, so I had 5 cores on Apollodinus for 7, 1 on Canyon for 8, and in main I charge draw plus 2k swing and pop.
Big plays, big plays.
Yeah, those were the main kind of combinations with Apollo, but such a great card.
How much did Ritual Fire come up during the day for you? Because that's a card that I've not really used much myself.
So much. So especially early Swiss. So Charge Draw was at 3, Ritual Fire was at 2, but I decided last minute to do actually 2 Charge Draw, 3 Ritual Fire. That card is just so good. It definitely overperformed for me. I was a bit skeptical because you know, it's a pro tour. People will, you know, take in considerations that you're playing red, and you might have that card. But playing two colors opens up for so many other cards. So I think a lot of people were expecting me to play Torn Prisons that I didn't. And ultimately, when I have like a Dynaman establish, a Eagle maybe, or a Kim down with Andromeda, they would try to stay a bit wide. And also, if I have Apollo Dinos down, they would try to go lower than for the 5k, right? And that happened a couple of times. I played Apollo Dinos to actually keep their spirit on check. They would level them down to stay under the 5k because they didn't want to swing. And then I just Ritual Fire. And
Pop.
and against yellow, obviously, like so many targets. Not necessarily against the winning deck, but still also on that deck, because, you know, unless they're all super cored up, it gets a lot of value.
So Seagworm Nova, you had no just standard Seagworms to get the life bonus. Tell us your thoughts on why you played without that life bonus, and just fill in the watches
in the main deck.
Yes. I guess you have the deck list and the card. So Nova came up for a couple of reasons. So I was like looking at a lot of deck lists and see like what other people have tried with green and red. So shout out to Rax Mendoza, who played that in a recent Grand Open. But it was essentially it was like a Nova Star Dragon Gale. So I call it that way because he was playing the Emperor Sigworm and one Big Bang, I think one or two. But I didn't want that whole package because I really wanted like a fairly good split between the two colors. And I will get into that, into the why in a second. But after I sent a message to Harry, and I was like, pretty much was like a 2 a.m. message, like Nova question mark. You know, instead of you up question mark. And he loved it.
Even Nova.
Huh?
Always believe in the Nova. That was my 2 a.m. response. Gotta do it.
Yes.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah, he was very much supportive of that. And I kind of floated the idea with Enoch. That was my partner in crime to really craft the whole strategy. And ultimately, we said, you know what? We have early defense. We have the Burning Force, the Ritual Fire to destroy the board. We don't need the Nova for the heal. We need the Nova to clear the board and then just go for game with maybe Fang. And realistically, we don't even need the Big Bang because, you know, guess what? We're just ramping with Gale, and it can cost 5, right? 8 in total, I guess, with the level. And that was a right call because Nova won me quite a few games in day one, and I fall in love. That's it. I fall in love with Nova, and I actually got a playset of Saga Novas at the event. So, you know, maybe I'll play some more Nova. Who knows?
All right. So, what about the Emperor, Heavenly Feng Huang? How many games did you win with him?
Yeah. Actually, I think maybe like 1 or 2, not too many. Interestingly, I think just the threat of having the Highlands down and having my opponent thinking, oh, if I swing now, I might just die. I'm at 5 lives, but I might just die, right? Because again, I might play Torn Prisons, and you know, one swing equals Torn Prison equals Fang next turn equals you lose. So a lot of time, like I was playing pretty like mid-range control in the terms of like, you know, finding the pieces, like not swinging in this game, especially with this deck that it has a lot of answers, was really strong because I was denying my opponent resources. They couldn't like develop their board, and I would just destroy everything each turn. So they had to rebuild from scratch. Still, Fang was an amazing finisher. But the whole Gale package worked really well. Obviously, Tokiwa, great for discarding, and obviously the ramp. And I think Jaeger was 1 point of contention. I think I spoke to Atu, I spoke to Kieran, and they both asked me like, is Jaeger actually good enough? And I don't know, Kieran, like, do you think Jaeger is good enough? And then I'll give you my opinion.
He's very good as a card, but I personally could just see like you cutting him and playing like 4 Tokiras and whatnot. Like, I don't. What I've realized is he's not overly important to the pure Gale strategy, is what I'll say.
Yes, I agree. And funnily enough, I landed on the same opinion, but then with this list, I didn't have the Jaegers. I had the 4 Toki. I think I had like 4 Fengwan and maybe the 4th Eagle. And I realized that in certain matchups, like having Jaeger for tempo plays, like to ramp, was easier than play Tokiwa at times. Like from a economy perspective, yes, Toki can cost like as low as 7 if you have just a 1 Highlands down and you want to ramp, whilst Jaeger actually cost 6 if you want to ramp too.
There's an interesting math part where like if you go second, let's say turn 1 you play Highlands, turn 2 you actually don't have enough cores for Toki, but you would have enough cores for Jaeger going second on turn 2. I also think for your list as well, because Jaeger is actually an ascend cost for your Nova as well if you ever do need it. So it's a bit more versatile for this list, I think.
Yeah.
But one thing I'd be really interested to get your opinion on is your sideboard and kind of like how useful was your overall sideboard?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe, let's jump on the sideboard because it looked very different up until 2 days before. 2 days before, I actually had Scopals, I had the Dyna, and I had the other spells. But I opted for the combo with the 2 Bacillus and the Dragon. The Bacillus also synergized extremely well with Nova, being an Ascend and having that essentially bring everything to 1 core. So you can Bacillus, Ascend Nova, everything on board is 1 core, so you can pop more spirits. So even if you side only 2 in, 2 Bacillus, 2 Dragons, even if you can't do the Bacillus King Dragon combo, maybe you can do the Bacillus Nova combo. Again, sponsored by Highlands ramp, if you can. But essentially, that was the pick. And I'm not a fan of 2-2. I think like the proportion is really low, and on a 50 card deck to get 2 cards that you need is quite low. But I still decided to go for it, and essentially leave some space for the rest. 1 Meteor Seagworm was for like more controlly matchups. Try to also give me an out maybe on like a game 3. Obviously the chances are pretty low, but in many games, whenever I would find multiple canyons, I would play 2 canyons. I played 2 canyons in many games. Almost every game that I found the 2 canyons, I played 2 canyons. And so I end up seeing like at least a good 60-70% of my deck at least. So if not more actually, but I wanted to have that extra chance, and it actually came useful a couple of times. So shout out to Meteor Emperor Sigworm. And then the spells you see are 2 Flood Streams, which, we can't disrespect the aggro. And obviously I have, I tested heavily against aggro with this list. And, I guess previous versions more, but nonetheless, with the Ritual Fire, with the Burning Force and the early drops, it did fine, but we needed that extra help from Floodstream. And if you've seen the streams, those two flood stream got me top 8 because I managed to find them against Gavin to remove the Eagles. So maybe they deserve a main deck spot, to be honest. It was a really tough call. There's limited slots in the deck, so it ended up inside together with a second Dream Bomb. Shout out to Harry. That was very adamant to have me playing Dream Bombs, which is a card. Yeah, it's so good. I love the card. It's just, again, it's tough to put like cards that are off color that cost 5, but it saved me a couple of times, and a lot of game 2s I would just side it in because it's just so good. The tempo gain on bouncing a spirit and maybe a Nexus as well is just so big in this game. Removing the spirit, removing reduction, it's so good. That's why I think George and the PPG players in top 8, they both had like 2 Dream Bombs in main, I think. And then I had 2 Lightning Arrow, and this is a shout out to Frankie that was like, hey, you know this card that came out and no one played because Axe Biter was a thing? It's actually really good, especially against white, where you see decks, and we have seen decks at Pro Tour with 4 suppression, 4 infinity shields. So my Fang and potentially my Nova, if an Enterprise is down, are very much useless for many turns potentially. So Lightning Arrow was my kind of tack against white, against like some control matchups. It never came up, unfortunately, but it was a good luck charm, I guess. You know, I'm starting to rethink the way I build a side, because I kind of want to look at it as like, what are cards that I can just like rely on that I'm sure I'm going to play, because that Lightning Arrow was actually a core theft. And to be honest, like, probably don't even have to argue, core theft is much better card than Lightning Arrow in many situations. But I wasn't comfortable enough with a core theft, knowing that I want to keep my hand low to get back the Toki. So it kind of felt a bit contrasting, and I opted for the Lightning Arrow.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, the Lightning Arrow was for control white as well, mainly, right? Like, and core theft doesn't really help against the Enterprise stall out in that way. So yeah, like Lightning Arrow was a very inspired tech. I think with side decking as well, it's always like the toughest thing to prepare. Like, obviously you can have very refined sort of plans in terms of what you'd want to side in and out, but especially at a big tournament, it's like there's always going to be just that unexpected element, and it's matchups on the day. Like, you know, those Lightning Arrows probably weren't needed for the best in a way. Like, if you were facing Enterprise all day every day, then it might not have turned out as well, even if the side deck card for it would have seen a lot more play. So yeah. A very good deck.
Thank you. Yeah, I do want to mention that, like, I'm the proof, if we didn't have enough, that Swiss does matter, right? Because I got 1, 2, 3 yellow in Swiss. I got 1 red, 1 purple, 1 K-pile, let's call it, and 1 white aggro. Like, if 2 of those were white control, I would probably not be here talking about this. Not because I doubt myself that much, but because, like, you know, that matchup is really, like, much more tough for me, and I knew it, and that's why I heavily sided for it. So maybe I would have got him anyway, but, like, you know, kind of trying to like be like a real #real here. So, but yeah, nonetheless, yeah, this is the deck, and really happy with the result. I loved playing it. It's just so just interactive, you know. You draw a lot. You can pick your own adventure, you know. If you've seen in my stream game, like, Canyon is that card that really makes you take the hardest decisions, like discard 2 eye shields. It's just tough. It's tough, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, it was a great weekend. Again, The experience overall was just amazing. We went out quite a few every night pretty much, and I got to see my first ever NBA game on Sunday.
Awesome.
I watched the Portland Trailblazer against the Warriors, so I got to see Stephen Curry on the field, and it was so close. It was like 1 point. It was crazy, and it was amazing. Shout out to Ayumu for coming with me. That was a lot of fun. So maybe we can get to do it in LA as well. And just pretty quickly, like again, shout out to everyone that came out and that came up and say hi and congratulated on the Nexus podcast. A few of you congratulated me on the casting, which is very, very nice. So yeah, thanks everyone. Shout out to Trevi, Espira, Anthony, Rex, like Zach, everyone. I'm sorry, like there's too many names, but like we met this weekend. I love you all. It's been like such a blessing, like starting this game and getting to meet you guys and everyone else. So despite the little hurdles and the bumps on the road, overall this is an amazing journey. So
congratulations again, Emmy, and what a nice way to close out the year with Worlds coming up. So well done. That's pretty much what we've got for today, guys. Don't forget, we do have a giveaway for these 3 wonderful cards that you can see on my screen right now. Just comment and like on this video or the previous video, and you will get entered. We will be drawing the winners on the podcast of season 1 episode 2. So so anyone else got any final questions or comments for Emmy before we get out of here?
I think Emmy should get the question time on the round, seeing as he had the big dub, our hero of the moment.
Sure.
I will ask a question. Also, I'll add the detail that we did say that the last one was the last episode of season 1, and I want to say thanks to everyone who commented, excited for season 2. This is not season 2; it's a bonus season 1.
The Christmas special. Obviously.
The Christmas special.
Yeah, I titled it the Christmas special. So
awesome. And my question, I guess, would be related to PT. I don't want to talk too about Worlds, but I just want to know what would you have played if you went to PT, and what's your thoughts? Like, did you think you would have done well, or maybe it wasn't a great pick all considered? Kieran, you can start.
It's always me. I think I probably would have taken Gale. If anyone's seen me for a while, they know I've been basically playing Gale since Liverpool at this point. I don't think that the list I had lined up would have been a good meta call going into the event, however. Primarily just aggro. I think aggro is a problem for ramp decks. I've said it before in many different situations. I don't think the issue is when you build your list too much to counter aggro, you're making your matchups against white control. And there was a really interesting graph published by PPG. Sorry, not PPG. TCG play TCG. That's the one. We got there in the end. But during the live stream on day 2, I think it was, they actually showed a really interesting infographic about all the current top decks and how their matchups were in tournament. And Gale's worst 2 matchups were white control and purple control. That says a lot. So if you're prepping for aggro, your control matchup becomes worse. If you prep for control, your aggro matchup becomes worse. Bit too much thinking to be done there, but yes, I think I would have been in the bottom tables personally.
I would have.
I believe that.
I probably would have taken yellow myself, and just because I love yellow, and even if it has become the meta, I was playing it before. And yeah, I just probably would have played. I would have either played something similar to what the top guys played, or would have probably went more into Michaela in my main, because I don't know, I just love Michaela. She's really fun to play. So yeah, boring answer, but that's the truth.
That's not boring. Like, I mean, you've been playing yellow for the longest time, and now that it's good, you have to play yellow. Like that's out of
Yeah,
the
I mean,
discussion. for
but
sure.
no better time than now, right?
Yeah. What about you, Harry? What spice would you have cooked for this PT?
Yeah. No, I probably would have just played Bachelor Purple, to be honest. The old, the old Nemesis swinger. Yeah, I mean, I guess when I thought I was gonna go, like, yeah, I started testing more with like the Tin Soldier Purple and stuff. I think now that deck is in a bit of a different spot to before set 3. Like with set 2, you didn't have Genbu, so the Bacillus was pretty impactful in terms of clearing a path for the Fable Beasts to get in with the blessed damage, whereas now it's just like you have Genbu, so I think there isn't really as much of a lane for that deck. You're better off just playing purple or yellow, and I prefer also probably would have just done a bit of older drawing 50 cards off Black Lance and hoping I don't get yeeted by yellow on the way. Would have been fun.
That makes sense.
But yeah, no. So again, Emmy, congratulations. Great meta call. The deck looks awesome.
Thank you.
And yeah, we're going to have a little break over Christmas. We hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season, whether you celebrate it or not. And yeah, we'll be back in the new year, and we'll be getting ready for Worlds, and looking forward to seeing you all there. And yeah, hopefully we'll have some other new content coming up soon. So any final thoughts, guys, before we leave?
No, just happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Peace, guys, and have a good holiday season.